Right. Bloody hell, look who we are, bloody online match, eh? Don't know if this 1 HP glitch has been fixed, but let's just, I don't think it has, but I don't think it's affecting every server either. See the state of this game on PC. Probably no different from the consoles, to be honest, but...
Countdown aborted! Fuel supply bomb disabled! Throwing!
Ugh, there's my first death online. Bloody hell, never thought I'd be back doing this shit again.
Turbo laser taken care of. Move on to the fuel supply.
Oh, I think with that, using this PS4 controller on the PC, I can't bring up the player list.
Heads down!
Oh yeah, what did I want to talk about? Somebody asked me a question on the last video. I mentioned something about I think it was Matthew McIver, I think his name was. I mentioned that I don't really watch much Star Wars, well, any Star Wars media anymore, and he was like, "Oh, does that mean the Mandalorian and the book Boba Fett?" And he was curious to know why. Like I felt that way, like I didn't want to watch any of them. And I think I said in his reply to his comment, I watched. Oh, there we go. Yeah, the glitch is still happening. Oh well, that's so weird because I've already took a death. Anyway, already started, so I'll carry it on. But yeah, so I watched the first few episodes of Mandalorian, and the whole season had already been out at this point, so I was late to the party. But I ended up seeing somebody saying on like a review of the series, like if you're a fan of the original trilogy, it's the best thing we've had like since like the prequels. In his opinion, that was like the next best thing if you were a fan of the original trilogy. So I thought, is that just like, do they want it to be that way? Like, the state of this, look, people can't get killed. So I thought I'll give it a go. I know there's no point in me being in this lobby, but whatever, like, we're in here now. So I gave it a go, watched like the first few episodes, and I got the taste of it pretty quickly, and I was just like, I wasn't liking it, and it was the main thing for me was, like, I felt, and I think it's down to the writing, like the writer, nothing to do with the acting, or because the actors are only this is silly. Yeah, the actors are only reading what's writ out for them in the script, so I think it's a problem with the writing, you know. And to me, it just felt like, for people who are my age, they might know what I'm talking about. It felt like a Saturday morning cartoon show. You know, like you'd get up on a Saturday morning, you put your cartoons on, and it's like an episode would be like, it'd start with like the setup, you know. Oh, here's, like, for example, one of the last episodes I remember was like Mando's ship had messed up somehow, and he had to be stuck on a planet, and it's like, okay, so the episode, he's got to fix his ship and get off the planet, and he meets somebody who he's got to work with and fix to help fix his ship. He's got to work with the locals or something like that, and it was all wrapped up at the end of the episode. And it's like, on next episode, it's a different, we've got a different storyline going on. I don't know, there's probably some episodes I've not seen that are continuation, so it's like continued in part 2. Maybe that's happened, maybe it's not, but it just felt like a Saturday morning cartoon show, and it was, I don't know, I just didn't like it, you know. It wasn't, I just wasn't feeling it. It didn't give me those old Star Wars vibes, and it doesn't matter if we're seeing like stormtroopers or like Mandalorian armor does nothing. Like, it just because it looks like Boba Fett doesn't mean I have to like it. You know what I mean? And like from a marketing standpoint, the adding Baby Yoda. I mean, you know, I'm not a fucking animal. That's a cute creature. You know what I mean? And it's a marketing bit of genius. That thing's cute as hell, like, you know, and it's I'm not going to hate on that. So whoever thought that up to make a Baby Yoda, you know, it's making toys, it's making plush dolls, it's, you know, it's a money maker. But yeah, I gave up on it after maybe 3 or 4 episodes. I think might have been when Gina Carano's character came into it, and I actually really like Gina Carano. I've actually followed her while she was doing an MMA career. She's fucking hard as nails. Like, you know, when she was beating people's asses in Strikeforce, you know, she was putting female fighters on the map before Ronda Rousey did. She opened the door for people like Ronda Rousey, you know. So I've known her from way back then when doing an MMA. Look at this guy. You can't die, mate. There's no point in hiding. So yeah, I gave up on it, and I've seen like clips of other episodes. I know Luke comes into it and stuff, like spoilers if you've not seen it, but you know. And I was like, oh, they're trying to pick anything from the original trilogy to please like original trilogy fans, you know. And it's like, oh, come back, you know, where's Luke again? And it's just, it feels desperate to me. Anyway, so that was Mandalorian. I gave it a few episodes, gave up on it because it just felt like I'm not a fan of the writing, and I've not watched a single episode of the book Boba Fett, because after seeing the Mandalorian, I thought, or bits of the Mandalorian, I thought, well, I feel like this is going to be the same shtick, you know, like, and I know Boba Fett ended up showing up in the Mandalorian, and I feel that whole show was like a springboard for Boba Fett's show. It's like, and just seeing the clips, I mean, I'll cut in if I can without getting copyrighted. There's a channel that I really like film reviewers, and they're called Red Letter Media. Some of you might know them, some of you might not, but they cover all kinds of films, not just Star Wars. Although I feel they've got the same opinion as like me and a lot of others when it comes to Star Wars now. They're just done with it, you know, like they're not liking where it's all going. Anyway, but I'll try and cut in this little small conversation I'm talking. They've not even seen Book of Boba Fett, but I'll just try and cut it in at this point and show you. And hopefully they don't get copyrighted.
Someone posted a clip of that new Boba Fett show on the internet, on Twitter.
Oh.
And it was embarrassing. And it was that actor Tamu Morrison.
The Boba Fett guy, yeah.
Yeah, who played Jango Fett.
Yeah.
But now he's playing Boba Fett, and I argued that it should have been young Boba Fett.
Logan, Logan,
yeah,
right?
He should be Boba Fett, but they have Tamura Morrison because he's the clone, so he looks like Boba, but he's like...
he's old and fat.
He's like, Boba Fett was a skinny ass guy in Empire Strikes, and Boba Fett in this he's like 300 pounds.
Yeah,
and he doesn't look anything like Boba Fett. And there's this action scene they posted, and these guys have these like laser shields, and they're like attacking him, and he's like, and it's like really slow and awkward, and they're like, this looks like crap.
That's when I was like, I'm done with all this stuff. But Boba Fett's in that too, because that entire season was just a setup for future Disney Plus shows, basically.
Yeah.
But there's an episode where he's just dressed normally, but then he puts on the Boba Fett armor, and there's an action scene. But he's old and fat. He's wearing the armor, and he looks silly.
Boba Fett was scrawny. Jeremy Bollocks was scrawny. He was a skinny British man. He was just like a mannequin.
Yeah.
That's all they needed, was just someone to wear that costume.
Because Boba Fett wasn't a character?
Because Boba Fett was just a plot device, essentially. Someone's chasing down Han Solo.
Yeah.
We need somebody to chase Han Solo. I got a bunch of costume parts. That's it. And now he's this epic, whatever. Fuck it all.
So like, yeah, that's that. Like, you know, I agree. You know, I mean, look at the state of Boba Fett. Like, he looks overweight and he looks fat. You know what I mean? Look at the state of him. Like, Tamura Morrison's well out of shape for that role, and he looks old and fat, and like that's not what I pictured. Like, but Boba was like they said in the clip, like he's a thin fella, you know, like, and it doesn't have to be 1-to-1, but like just them bringing Tamura Morrison back, like for the sole reason, he's Django's son, so he should look exactly like him, you know. So, but you don't even need to have his helmet off. Like even that's one thing I liked about the early bits of the Mandalorian was the whole not showing their face, I love that, you know. And the actor had to, I can't remember the actor's name who played Mando, but he did a good job, like until the point where he revealed his face. He did a really good job of like conveying like things like emotion with the helmet on, you know, just like little subtle tilts to the head and his man, like the way he moved his body and stuff. And it's like it kept that mystery, like, of who's behind the mask, you know. And when you just take the mask off, all the mystery goes, like, you know. And obviously the Mandalorians had like that big whole shtick about like you don't take the helmet off, you know. And I know Boba's not in the thing, he's Boba's in the story lore, if you like. Boba's not a true Mandalorian, but still, like the mystery of Boba Fett with the mask on was the appeal, you know. He's like this mysterious fella who I know we didn't see much of him in the films because he's like you might have heard Mike say in the clip that I showed you from Red Letter Media, he's basically just a plot device, you know. Like we need someone to pursue Han Solo to Cloud City and eventually transporting him from there to set up the third film at the beginning of Return of the Jedi when he takes him to Tatooine to deliver him to Jabba. So Boba Fett's just a side character, you know. He just became popular afterwards. Like he wasn't put in the film because George Lucas thought, oh, this is going to be cool. Like, you know, he only became through popular culture after the films. You know, same things with things like AT-ATs and stuff. You know, I mean, since The Empire Strikes Back, we've had AT-ATs in Rogue One and like different versions of AT-ATs in the Last Jedi in the final battle sequence. Now they didn't put AT-ATs in the movie because it's like, oh, these four-legged walkers are going to be cool. Like whoever created that idea for the AT-AT in the movie, it was just a vehicle for the Empire to use, but they didn't put it in thinking this is going to be cool. It only became cool, like as a cool thing from fans afterwards. You know what I mean? But the fact that they're just taking things that they now know are cool, and it's like, oh, people like this, we'll put it in fucking every other film that we get. It's just like desperate, you know. And so yeah, Book of Boba and that clip, like when I seen that clip when they're driving those, like they look like bloody Lambretta scooters and Vespers through the streets, and it just looks awful, you know. And that like cringe-worthy scene with Boba Fett and I don't know who that other person is who's with him, like fighting them off like that, you know. Hasn't Boba got a jetpack? Can't he just fly upwards and get out of that shitty circle shield formation? I don't know, I've not seen him. He's not got his jetpack at that point. I don't know, I don't care. But yeah, that's why I'm not here. Like, I don't give a shit about it anymore. And as I know a lot of people like to say, oh, you could do so many ideas that you could do with Star Wars, like, but they're just not doing it. Like, I don't agree with that at all. I think, and this is not my thought, this is Rich from Red Letter Media. He's not in the clip that I've shown you earlier, but I think he's got a great point, and Star Wars is creatively bankrupt. And what he means by that, like, it's like, although you might say there's all these new ideas, there's not, like, because unless you put things like lightsabers and AT-ATs and Sith Lords and Jedi, and I know that's like what we've come to know from Star Wars, but unless those things are in a movie, no one's gonna fucking watch it, you know what I mean? Because they all like the lightsabers and the X-wings and you know, and so there's not really much you can do. And I know people have said like, oh, you could, you know, take it back to things like the Old Republic, or what they're gonna have to come up with something totally new, like that they're not just picking from other films and saying, oh, this was popular, let's, you know, it needs a new burst of creativity. Like, that's not been done yet, and I don't think we're going to get that. I just think Disney are just going to wring this rag for all the money that they can get by churning out like shows. Like, once one show's over, they're already announcing a new one. Like, for me, Star Wars was better when we had like a trilogy and then it disappeared for like years, you know. I mean, ask a lot of people how they felt about The Force Awakens, and I think someone agreed with me in my last video when they said Force Awakens was actually, they liked it and it got them excited about Star Wars again. And I think the reason for that is because we hadn't had any Star Wars from, it might have been since, like, there wasn't was there a standalone film? It might, but we hadn't had a trilogy at the start of a new trilogy since the end of the prequel trilogy, so Revenge of the Sith, and we had to wait a long time for that. And I think when you have to wait, you get like a bit of a tolerance break, you know, like, and you look forward to it when it comes back around again. But when you're just saturated with it over and over again, people are just like, oh, well, I know the diehards are just going to stick by it no matter what, but like, most people are just like, they've had enough, and I think maybe this might extend to people like Marvel fans as well. Like, they like the movies when they come out, but when they're watching all these like TV shows, like I know WandaVision did quite well, and this is fucking nuts, this glitch. Like, as soon as this gets fixed, the better. God, look at this dart. He really doesn't want people to progress past this part of the objective. Doesn't matter. Hey, look at me, I'm going full triad with Darth Maul. I forgot what I was talking about. Yeah, so just taking a bit of a break from the genre would benefit it, like, and people would want it to come back again. I know that was a long explanation, Matthew, for your question there, but yeah, I won't be watching any more of Mando, and Book of Boba Fett just looks like dog shit to me, like, you know, and I just don't like the idea of, like, from the stills I've seen on slight clips, like Boba takes over Jabba's position as like a crime lord, and that doesn't suit his character to me. Like, I know we didn't get much of his character in Empire and Jedi, but, like, you know, you used your imagination a bit, and I know he was expanded upon in like other media, like books and stuff, and I'll talk about an interesting book I used to have when I was in school, but yeah, like Boba just stepping in and being a crime lord, that to me, that's not his character. Like, he's a hustler, you know, he's a bouncer. He turns up, he gets contracted for a job, he does the job because he's the best at what he does. You know, he gets that thing of the best bounty hunter in the galaxy and all that, and he takes his money, delivers his package to whoever he's paying him, and he's off again. He's off making more money. He's a hustler, and that suits his character. You know, he's in and he's out, you know, and he's ruthless, and he does what he does to get the job done. And speaking about that book, if anyone's interested, I'll try and flash a still up of it up on screen if I can find it. It was called Tales of the Bounty Hunters, and I read this when I was at school. I wasn't a big reader at the time, but I ended up coming across the book and I really enjoyed it. And it basically tells the stories of all of the bounty hunters that you see on the bridge of the Star Destroyer in Empire when Vader's recruiting all the bounty hunters. So you got like Boba, Bosk, Dengar's on there, Zuckuss and Forlom, and I think that's all of them. And in the book, each one of them gets like a segment in the book talking about, like, I guess some of the baller shit that they've done for Vader to recruit them, because he thinks, well, these are the 5 or 6 best in the galaxy, I'm going to hire these fellas to try and, you know, bring in Han. And just little stories off the top of it. It tells you, like, Boba's ordeal with the Sarlacc, falling into the Sarlacc. But in that book, I don't know if this is how it pans out in the show, but he when he falls into the Sarlacc, you know, he's in there for so long, and I think he detonates like a thermal detonator when he's in there, and it, like, the Sarlacc kind of like regurgitates him. But he's all fucked up when he gets out, as you know, he's all burnt up from the stomach acids and stuff like that. And he basically just collapses on the Dune Sea, and he's just waiting to die. And he's found by Dengar, I think, if I remember it right. And Dengar, like, nurses him back to health. And then they go their separate ways. Like, Boba kind of thanks him. And it was interesting, you know. And there's another cool segment in it when Boba is contracted to destroy, I think it's like 5 or 6 renegade IG assassin droid units. And, you know, from the lore that we get from the IG units, they're feared, they're like almost indestructible, unstoppable, you know, like. And I think we didn't want to appear up in the Mando at some point. I think I've seen clips of that. Yeah, and he dusts every one of them. He does all 6 of them in, like, you know, and it's just like, even when he like, there's one that's like giving him a lot of trouble. He's killed like 4 or 5 of them at this point, and he's having trouble with, well, I guess one's more skilled than the rest of them or something. But yeah, and he does it in like cool ways. Like, I think it's like in the Slave one or something like that. He has like a dog fight with one of them, and but it was so cool. It was like, bloody hell, he wiped out these 5 IG units, you know. I can't remember anything else about it, like some of his stories, but it talks about like Zuckuss and Forlom and their partnership, because I was interested by the 2 of them. I was like, who are these? Like, one's a droid, isn't he, and the other one's like a fucking giant ant. Looks like an ant with like tubes coming out of his mouth. But yeah, and like Dengar, I can't barely remember anything about Dengar, and like all Bosk's kind of like bounty hunter guild thing, and with his father, and like, did they kill his father to like become the head of the guild? I know the laws probably change now, and it's the canon is changing every 5 minutes, and that's another thing that annoys me about like how precious the canon is to the people that are writing it. I mean, I think that's one of the reasons why we didn't have the content that we did in this game, because when I remember when the members of the community would ask DICE members, "Oh, can we get like this skin or that skin in the game?" and the DICE people would say, "Oh, it's their hands were tied by Disney because it wasn't allowed in the law, you know, like in canon." And I think, oh, that's just fucking so stupid, you know, like. Well, I mean, what is canon anyway? You know, just you can just change it. Is there like a canon committee who's like sit around the table and decide what is allowed and not allowed? It's dumb, like, you know, it's stupid, you know. And then you get people like squabbling online about like canon and stuff like that. I mean, if you're one of those people who like argues on social media about Star Wars, like, just stop what you're doing now and just go and take a long hard look at yourself in the mirror and just say, like, what am I doing? I'm arguing about Star Wars online. I'm like getting upset and calling people names and saying hateful things to people over fucking Star Wars, you know what I mean? Like, if you're just into Star Wars anyway, like, you're not like, oh, I thought I'd killed him for a second. Like, if you're like hardcore into, you're having arguments online, like, I'm gonna put a bet you're getting zero pussy. You fucking zero pussy in your life. Just, you know, it's just, don't be so attached to this. Like, don't be a mark. You know what I mean? And I feel that's like people like me, and I've heard this in Anakin Ninja's streams as well. Like, just whenever he critiques Star Wars in any way, even if it's just like constructive criticism, like, he gets attacked for it. It's like, you hate Star Wars, and he's like, no, I actually really love it, and he's trying to put suggestions forward that would, because he complains about writing. I know he likes Mandalorian and he likes Book of Boba Fett, but he still brings up problems with the writing, and I agree. I might not like the show at all, but like, I agree with what he's got a point to you know. If you just completely poo-poo his point, that's just pure ignorance on your part, you know, and you're not looking at things with an open mind, and you're not looking at things objectively. Like, and you can always see the Star Wars fans when if they get emotionally upset from something what you've said. It's like, okay, you're a mark, and you're too deep into Star Wars where you can't take a step back and objectively look and say, actually, this is not a very good product, like, you know. But if you can do that, you know, it shows intelligence in my, like, if you can openly critique something that you love as well, you know, and pick out the good points and the bad points, you know. Like, we've got to have, it's a cliche, but we need good and bad in everything, you know. You need that yin and yang, you know. If Star Wars has taught you anything, you know, there's good and bad, and think, you know, look at Palpatine, like, what was he saying when he was fucking earwigging Anakin in Revenge of the Sith, you know, good as a point of view, and again, you know, and all that stuff, you know, when he's talking to him at the opera, and start to see the things setting into Anakin's head. It's, oh yeah, maybe the Jedi aren't all like squeaky clean like they make out to be. Maybe there is some bullshit on their end. And look, as a character that's become a favourite to a lot of people from the prequels is Qui-Gon. You know, he's one of those grey Jedi. You know, and I'm sure this was like a thing in the animated series when Qui-Gon was, you know, he was saying some like controversial, you know, he wanted Anakin trained in the movies, didn't he? And the rest of the council were like, what the fuck are we, this guy's going to be a psycho in the future, like, why and you're telling us to train? And he's like, you know, there's potential there, but like, it's, you know, we all know how that went, but like, it doesn't mean it could have turned out differently if his anger was channeled, harnessed in the right way with certain guy, blah blah blah. You know, we all think, oh, we all wish we could step into that Revenge of the Sith movie, and when he's about to go and run up to Mace Windu, we're like, no, have a minute, mate, just chill for a minute, like, don't let Palpatine fucking earwig you. He's promising you, you know, keeping Padme alive and all that, and he didn't want to lose his bit of pussy, you know, and he got emotionally invested in it, and yeah, anyway, we all know what happened, but you know what I'm getting at. But I think this has gone on for long enough. This ain't going to progress past this point, and the glitch still hasn't been fixed. I went into a lobby before this. I was in I played a Takodana match. It was like about the third phase in, and I was getting killed, so I was like, oh, I guess it's fixed. So I thought I'd try, but it looks like it's not. Oh, the match is ending anyway. But yeah, that's it for me, guys. I'll catch you in the next one. See you later.